Okay, hey everyone. Today we have Mike with us from Custom Travel Solutions, who's going to be telling us all about package trips for millennial travelers. So it looks like we're right on the dot now. So I'll leave it to you, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. Thanks for the intro. And thanks everybody for joining us this morning or evening, depending upon where you are. I'm calling from the US and it's about 8 o'clock. It is 8 o'clock, as a matter of fact. So we'll dive right in to the topic at hand. So what I'm going to discuss today or tonight or this morning is package trips for the Millennial Traveler. So just a couple of quick definitions, because in different parts of the world, package trips means things maybe slightly different. But we're going to, for the sake of this presentation and this discussion, we're going to refer to package trips are trips that contain more than one travel component. So it's airfare and hotel, or it could be airfare, hotel, car rental, transfers, etc. And in some cases, it could even be things that were part of this study did not even include airfare. So packages, just multi-component travel. And for those of you who don't know what a millennial is, and it'd be hard to imagine because that's all the buzz. It seems like that's what all the analysts are talking about at this point. Millennials are people that are 22 to 37, roughly. So kind of the easy definition, we'll talk a little bit more about it in the presentation, is if you were born in 1980-ish through 1996, you're considered a millennial. So those are our definitions for getting started tonight. Just a couple of ground rules or housekeeping notes. We will be having a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and the intent that the presentation will be 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time to handle any questions, conclude the call within 30 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about package trips for the millennial traveler. Millennials, they love to explore new places and conquer the world. And a lot of people say one trip at a time. There's an important marketing company in the US called MMGY, and they do services all around the world, but they have this annual study, and it's called the Portrait of American Travelers. And I think this probably, it happened to be targeted at Americans, but it could be used or justified for travelers around the world. But just to kind of take a snapshot of what millennials mean in the US is that there were 36.9 million vacations taken by millennials, and they spent, and this is in 2016, by the way, and they spent $50.4 billion. Millennial families also represent 16% of all active travelers and account for around 9.5 million households in the US. So very important facts to know. One of the things that you'll find about millennials are they're really comfortable with last minute or unexpected bookings. And this is different from people that have that were at their age group many years ago. I for one have been in the travel space for 31 years. I started when I was 19, so I'm not quite that old, but I do remember last minute travel, and I started a company that was revolved around last minute travel in 1996. But there was very few people that kind of adhered to that or took to it. But millennials, they like last minute travel. They like to do things on the spur. They also like to travel in style, and they also respond very positively to elite travel and lifestyle benefits offered through travel clubs. But I will say that too few travel companies have maximized the value of the millennial travel by communicating to them in a way that they want to be communicated to, and addressing the things that are important to them. And hopefully through this short presentation, we can highlight a few of those so you might be better suited to serve the millennial marketplace. So again, let's talk about the millennial traveler. They are born roughly after 1981. They know how to search for products online. They know how to get exactly what they want, and they know what kind of price they're willing to pay. They're also very, very interested in discounts and rewards. Now, I did speak to you on a slide before about their love for elite benefits and brands, which is really surprising. A lot of people think of millennials as backpackers and budget travelers. But one point I like to get across is, don't confuse value with cheap. So everyone likes a good value, but a good value could be a nice 2-for-1 discount on a Crystal cruise, as an example. I mean, that represents a good value, but it's not cheap, right? So these are things to think about as you are addressing the millennial traveler marketplace. So let's talk about the profile of a millennial traveler. They're loyal, but they're discerning. And as I stated before, they want value for their travel dollars. They're membership oriented. They value loyalty with the right brands. They are subscription friendly. So they grew up with things like Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, things that, maybe 5-10 years ago, we wouldn't have considered to not go to the movie theaters anymore and only use Netflix, or, we wouldn't considered not using the local store that specializes in something, but rather going to Amazon. But these are all subscription friendly type services, and that's what the millennials are about and accustomed to. They're also very social. They know how to navigate social and digital channels as well. There's a few things to keep in mind too about millennials, and things that there might be misassumptions. So as an example, 52% of millennials prefer hotels and not Airbnb stays. Okay, technology is not only millennial only. Mobile is the dominant channel, period. So if you're serving the millennial market and you are online with a website, but you don't have a mobile app, or if your website is not responsive, you're probably missing out on the millennial market, because they're not going to do business with you. They want to do business with you the way they want to do business. The main thing about millennials, which is really good for the travel industry, is they really appreciate value and loyalty. So let's ask the question: are travel brands winning or losing the millennial traveler? So overall, the travel industry is doing really well with the millennial traveler. In 2017, millennial families planned to travel 35% more, spending 19% more on vacations. So that's good for all of us on this call. Millennials are known for saying things like, I would rather spend my money on an experience rather than a hard good. So they're more interested in experiencing things, and that could be travel, or it could be a concert, or something like that. But they enjoy soft goods more than they enjoy hard goods, and they're willing to spend their disposable income. So it is very important that we address this market as travel sellers, so that we can take advantage of them, as not only as they grow through their life cycle, but also as they grow into higher paying jobs or higher incomes as they mature. But the winners from all the travel brands will be those that put brand equity and loyalty first, and those that strive to constantly improve their frequent flyer programs and their co-branded partnerships. These are things that work very well for millennials. But let's talk about the losers. The losers are those travel brands that fail to add anything beyond the booking. So your days of just being a regular OTA, and having the cheapest price, you're probably not going to get very far with the millennial crowd. Those that fail to enhance their frequent flyer and guest loyalty programs, I think the frequent flyer and guest loyalty programs worked very well for a long time because they added something, and they had they didn't have a large percent of the marketplace that was part of their programs. But when they got to more adoption and acceptance, then they had to go back and kind of reinvent themselves. And that's what the millennials are looking for. You need to add value to your booking engines. Again, it can't just be buy your travel here and maybe you go to the airline to get your seat assignment or what have you. There needs to be more to it. Tie-ins with social networks. And the most important part, or one of the most important parts, are for you travel sellers out there to take advantage of the new subscription model for ancillary revenue in today's sharing economy. So there's the airlines and the hotels are all, really focused on ancillary revenue, and that is a great way to attract millennials. So millennials have, of course, made themselves much more tech savvy, but it's not just the technology. They're also very interested in and value branding. And again, as I said a slide before, 52% of millennials prefer hotels, not Airbnb. That's really surprising and very telling about what the opportunity is. They are very loyal, and they fall into this subscription economy. There's American Express Centurion or American Express Platinum Clubs, Platinum Card. These are all really travel clubs at their core, and they're very interested in these type clubs. They're also interested in exclusivity. So they're interested to aspire to things that they did not know that they could do, to reach, have things like being able to go into an airport lounge when you're traveling, or having access to an upgrade program through a hotel or a loyalty play. They're really looking for aspiring experiences. And lastly, I want to talk about the universal appeal of travel clubs. And this is where I see a real clear intersection with the millennial traveler. Travel clubs appeal to aspiration. Travel clubs do a great job of providing once-in-a-lifetime trips at most any budget. They do this by offering a private club portal for search and discovery, and significant savings for the most frequent travelers. Travel clubs have the ability to offer hotels at lower rates than what the OTAs can, because they have these private fares that are available, but they're not available to the general public. They're only available behind a firewall or a username and password. This is one of those concepts that really appeal to millennials, because they're all about value. They're about style. They're about aspiration. So they may be willing to pay $150 a night for a hotel, but they don't want to do that and stay in a 3-star hotel. They'd like to do that and stay at a 5-star hotel. Also for travel brands, a travel club, whether their own or with a partner's help, will drive loyalty to that brand, and it will keep their customers engaged. There's a lot of studies about, especially for online travel agents, about how many travel sites that a consumer goes to before they make a purchase. When you have a travel club, and the travel clubs generally charge their members for access, you really contain that user, and that user will stick with just buying through the travel clubs because they're getting an exceptional value, and they're getting ease of service, and they're able to take advantage of some of the other benefits while they're traveling as well. These travel clubs, we've also noticed that they increase the volume of trips that the customers do take. And we're also, travel clubs are also have the ability to improve the customer experience and satisfaction, because they can afford to pay more for the customer service. So they tend to hire better qualified customer service folks with more experience, and they're also willing to spend more time with the member on the phone rather than just a normal customer as well. And there's also this concept too for travel organizations to have a travel club and really create new ancillary revenue streams by having member subscriptions as well. So the next slide speaks a little bit about losing Millennial Traveler, and you know, again, I go back to the subscription concept. You know, the millennials are subscription friendly and subscription services. They're willing to pay, and as you guys know, there's ways you can get music as an example, and even movies for free. But they're willing to pay for more content, better content, more convenient content. They're willing to pay for these things, and we need to do a good job of offering access to them through a subscription model. And I think travel clubs really work in line with that. They're very similar. So rather than just booking through a public website, paying subscribers can access a private portal for all their travel needs, and also find some values that they're not going to be able to find publicly. And if you, again, as a travel organization, if you would like to be more like Netflix and Spotify and participate in the subscription economy, then the travel club concept could be for you. So let's talk about planning for value. For millennials and other travelers, the trip planning process is as much about identifying value as it is about choosing options. So according to Google and Focusrite, who did a joint study here, 50% of leisure travelers in general take just 1 to 2 vacations a year. But when presented with a discount promotion, 30% would take a trip they were not planning. So there is a way to up that ante, or the number of vacations that travelers take. 25% would consider a destination they were not familiar with if they had a great value. So travel clubs help these members discover new possibilities for travel through brands that they trust, again, such as American Express, Marriott, or even a low-cost carrier like Spirit Airlines. There's a good bit of growing popularity of travel clubs. There are things, again, we've talked about several of these. Some of these tie in with co-branded credit cards. Other are standalone travel clubs. But through these travel clubs, you'll find things like private booking engines, elite lifestyle benefits. So there are things that are not necessarily just travel related, but like concierge service, dining and entertainment discounts. You also find exclusive airfares, discounted hotels, package trips at discounts, and also social tools that will help you or help the millennial plan group trips. So that kind of wraps up my session. I'd like to, Kristen, if we got time to open up the floor to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, we absolutely do have time. So thanks so much for that, Mike. So yeah, let's move on to questions. So if you have a question you'd like to ask, simply type it into the chat box. Or if you prefer, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you instead so you can ask Mike your questions. So to do that, just click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen, and from there, clicking to raise your hand over on the right. So it looks like we do have one question from Byron. So Byron's just asking if you have any idea what MMGY's definition of family is in the scenario in, I think it was your first slide.
You know, I don't have the study in front of me, but they're really strong with their methodology in doing these studies. I would consider that to be a household. You know, and I certainly could find that out. And that study is published. So if you just do a search on MMG travel study, traveler profile 2016, their methodology will be listed there. But I'm assuming considering a family, a household.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. So it looks like we don't have any other questions at this point. So I will just let everybody know. I did notice that that quite a few of you were jumping on and off this call. So it has been recorded, and it'll be up on the Travel Massive blog later today in case you missed anything, or for you to share, of course. We always love that. So thank you again for presenting, Mike. You did an awesome job. And thank you everyone for attending. And of course, don't forget to sign up for our next webinars too.
Thanks so much. Hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks, you too, Mike. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.